there's times where I try to really stay committed to my routine. Like my routine is everything. My habits are everything.
Everything.
And just in the past month, it has not been consistent because we had another shift in our schedule and our driving and our, like all these things where I know I'm going to get back into it. I haven't journaled twice a week like I love to, and I know that helps me and that grounds me. So it's like the advice I give myself and I give other people is like, that's okay. Give yourself
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah.
And it's not permanent. And what do you have to do, or who do you have to talk to or reach out to support you?
Hi, guys. I'm your host, Megan Van Diepender, and this is the Empowerhood Podcast. I am so happy to have you here. Motherhood is hard, and we are going to talk about all of the hard things that just are not talked about enough. So buckle up and enjoy this episode. Yeah, so everyone out there listening in today, we have Brittany Burnham here with us, and she is just such a force in the capital region. So like I said, Britt, I'm so excited to hear your story. Why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about you? Who is Brittany?
I am, oh my goodness, lots of hats here. I am a mom, I'm a leader, I'm a boss, I'm a wifey, and I'm here just to, my mission is to empower more women, use my voice, learn, impact and influence that with other women as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I put that on the questions that I sent you. I'm like, you wear a lot of hats, which I mean, I do too. So I am like super excited to pick your brain about how you do all that. Cause I'm like, can I do this better? So you have kids. How many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids, so I have 2 of my own and 2 bonus babies. I'm a stepmom as well. So
Amazing.
it's a beautifully chaotic blended family. I actually just record a podcast on it because this needs to be supported and heard more. It's definitely one of the most challenging roles, hats that in all of my experience of just obstacles that I've overcome. But my oldest is Jordan, and he is 10. Then mine, Bria, she's 10. Joe's daughter, Jada, she's 9, and then ours put together, Skyly, she's 4.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you
Yeah.
have two that are the same age. Well, actually, the three of them are really close in age. That's so
Oh,
cool.
oh
Now, is
yeah.
that like crazy or is it fun?
It is both.
Okay.
So it's more fun, to be honest with you, because we have to run a tight ship. And even if we're not aligned in some of our parenting roles, it is, I mean, we came into each other's lives when Jada and Jordan were 3 and 4. So he's in fifth and the girls are in fourth.
Okay.
So and they're all so different. So it really works well. Like they complement each other's strengths. I'm very big into the Enneagram. So when I've typed them, they all have different personalities that can be healthy and unhealthy. But yeah,
It's a
it's
lot.
fun because I'm learning a lot as well too as they get older with like middle school, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, 10. That's a getting into that like kind of tough age.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
yes,
every age is a tough age, right? It's like for parents at least. Like
it
there's
is.
always some challenges.
Yep.
But yeah, that's so cool. I love the blended family and it sounds like you guys work really hard to be the best parents that you can be.
We try. It's been a lot of, we'll probably talk about it later. It's been a lot of ups and downs, learning, shifting,
Yeah.
just and adapting. But you know what? One of the best things that I can say is that the kids are more resilient than us. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, wow, we have our kids in therapy because of a lot of things that have been happening with custody and just blended families. It's very confusing. The dynamics are a lot.
Mm.
So we really try to have that open communication. And
Yeah.
us moms, it's a little bit hard. This is just me, and this is my opinion, but I really genuinely feel that like moms do more, and we're the emotional, mental caretakers.
Yeah.
So just being able to provide them that safe space to be themselves and
Yeah.
also be able to communicate and tell us how they're feeling about anything with our blended families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just anything in general, like I definitely believe in therapy. My daughter is in therapy as well, and not
Yeah.
for any specific reason. I mean, there's definitely been things that have happened in the past couple of years that we wanted her to be able to express her feelings. But I just think you're right. It's healthy just to have that space, just to be able to be open, and then that creates an openness with you as well because they feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
My kids call their, we call it the feelings doctor.
Okay.
And it was that, and it's been 3 years almost. So just to
Yeah.
see their growth has been beautiful. And I will always, no matter what, keep if it's my choice, especially with, Jada and Jordan too, to keep them in there
Yeah.
because they might not always feel comfortable to tell me if something about what's going on, something. So, but we have to work together with their therapist too, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you started off as a single mom, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about that. Tell us how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I was an educator. I was an athletic director of an all girls charter high school in Albany called Albany Leadership, and I have always loved like that was the catalyst of the leadership and the empowerment that was really ingrained in me because I had incredible leader, Melissa Jarvis Cedeno. She was the principal, and she believed in me. Like I mean, I was 27 years old and she hired me as one of the founding members of this school. It was just built. So their mission was one leader changes everything. So uh, I was responsible for a lot of that school and relationships and really trying to build that trust with young women of mainly like African American and Spanish. So during that time, that's when I met my daughter's sperm donor. I will say that there's no father connection there. He's not on the birth certificate. And, I was in a very weird space of self love because I dealt with a lot of traumas from my own relationship with my father 5 years before this. So
Okay.
I experienced like my first, well, goodness, we're not going to get emotional. A lot of things are coming up when it comes to traumas
Yeah.
and things like now. Like I'm in this weird identity shift thing, so I could probably talk for hours on this. But during that, becoming a single mother was absolutely a reflection on where I was at with my own self love, and I found it the wrong way. And from someone who was charming, manipulative, there was red signs from the beginning, red flags, and he was a basketball player in that facility, like for like a local professional team, and then it became very abusive, domestic abuse, I mean, between verbal, physical, and it wasn't until I was pregnant when I was able to finally, after 2.5 years, to say, I'm not bringing in a innocent human into this environment.
Yeah.
And it was very hard for me. It was very challenging during this time where I was supposed to be that role model for young women who were experiencing this, these young women who were experiencing this day in and day out. And I was their sounding board. I was their safe space too. And here I am dealing with myself.
Yeah.
Like it was just the magnitude of it was so hard. And that's when I finally and I can talk about this very openly and confidently now because I've been able to overcome that trauma, been able to heal. And that healing took a lot of time where it's like all this other things that I've experienced, I'm not healed. So like now I can just really talk with conviction on this chapter in my life. So when I decided that was that was it, I moved with my mom
Okay.
and and she just like rebuilt her little tiny house for Bria and myself. And that's when I had this new journey. Like I left being an educator and
Okay.
I started thinking like, oh, I this is so cool. Science is so neat. I'm gonna go into being an ultrasound tech.
Okay.
And yeah, it was very, very interesting of this shift, this transition. And I went back to Hudson Valley, went back to school. Like I had my master's, I had my bachelor's degree and my master's,
Wow.
and and I just went back to school, and I was bartending, I was waitressing, um, I went on food stamps, I was on WIC, and I was just like, I know that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Have an incredible support system, but what is it that I want to do? Like, I have a new purpose. I have like my reason to overcome this battle. And yeah, that's when I started really internally working on my mindset, on my, and then it transitioned to physical. My body changed once I was able to, I mean, she was around 6 months to 8 months when that finally happened. And
Okay.
then the gym was formed. And then I
I was
built.
gonna ask you, so when did the gym come into play in that journey, I guess?
Yeah, I was. So while I was working at Albany Med, I was at Hudson Valley, I was bartending, I was waitressing at DP's locally here. So
Okay.
um all of the it was just a
You were
lot.
doing a lot. Yeah.
I was doing a lot, and I'll never forget, like, I was like taking these tests in my room, and Bria was difficult. Like, I say difficult, she was challenging in the way where she was colic,
Mm.
and like I've tried all the things, like, like the sleep schedule, and I made her food, like, and my mom just was the most. I mean, she was like the dad, but I was actually more like the dad. My mom was more like the mom because she's just like, my mom is just like the most nurturing, amazing woman ever. But I was doing workouts in the basement. I was doing like online workouts. And I was like, oh, I'm changing. I feel this shift. I want to help more women.
Yeah.
I applied to a bunch of positions, like with the the YMCA, U Albany, RPI. I have a lot of connects because I was a local athlete here, and just and working in the schools, and I was an
Yeah.
athletic director. So I was just like, anyone who wants to help me, who has got a job opening, and I had like so many no's. I was a finalist at U Albany. No, I mean, I had so many no's,
Wow.
and then finally I was just like, I started a relationship with my dad again, and that was like 5 years later. I was a real and I had to overcome that and asked him to pay for my personal training certification, and then I started studying that, and I started hit it with Britt, with like 8 girls in my mom's backyard with whatever equipment that I could find, from chairs to the railing. I mean, I remember breaking my mom's railing using like the band around it, like a TRX strap
Yeah.
attached to that. Like, I mean, like, seriously, coolers to do dips on, and
Yeah.
just anything that we could just use our body with and move. And you know how it is when you're just around 5 to 8 women who are just contagiously wanting more for each other.
Yeah.
So, and that turned into like 8 to 20 women. I moved to the park right next to my mom's
Okay.
house, Rosemont Park in Albany. And it was the summer of, 16. And um, that's when I was like, okay, maybe I can make something of this, because the 20 women were like willing to commit. But I had no clue. Like, I had no mentorship. I wasn't investing in mentorship. I didn't know who to, I had absolutely was just researching and Googling and
Yeah.
finding everything. And I found a cheer facility who
Okay.
who was willing to rent their space for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's 3T, like, they're local here.
Okay.
So yes, around triple threat all stars.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I started to have classes there, and it just grew pretty rapidly to like 100 members within the first 7, 8 months. And
Wow.
but I was still bartending.
I was gonna ask you, so did you ever become an ultrasound tech or no? You didn't do that.
Oh, I didn't get into the I was on the wait list. I had took all
Oh,
the
okay.
classes. I took like the anatomy and physiology. I took physics. I was doing all my hours and working as a patient care associate in the hospital. Like, it was disgusting. I give people who work in the hospital, I give them so much
Oh
credit.
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
like, holy, it just wasn't for me. I'm about helping people, but I did not want to
Yeah.
help people that way.
Well, it's
So
funny,
it
like
actually,
the universe almost had like a better, it just wasn't meant to be. It had a
Yeah,
different plan for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it just like, and it was the timing. When I didn't get into the program, I was like, I am great for this program. What are you talking about? Look where I've come from. Like I really was like, I'm better than this. What? And that's when it was like literally. Then I started applying to
Yeah.
the other positions. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's amazing how that works out. It's like one door
Hmm.
closes, another one, bigger one, better one always
Yeah.
opens up. Yeah. So
Hmm.
you now have power. Is that how you say it? Power?
Yes.
PWR. Okay, so
Yeah.
power, and it's spelled PWR, and that stands for what?
Performance wellness recovery.
Okay, now what does that mean to you? Where did that come from?
Oh, I love that. Thanks for asking. It was really hard when we were in the situation in the position of rebranding. It was before the pandemic. We didn't actually go through with it until after the pandemic, but I was in this point with Hit It with Brit that I was becoming Hit It with Brit, and it wasn't my true identity. I was also shifting into being a mother of four. From one to four took a lot on me, and I also wanted more time freedom. I wanted more financial freedom. I remember like I can't be coming to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning every day till 8 p.m. with a baby.
Yeah.
Uh, I had her in 2019. So, and I was at this point where it's like, okay, if I want to build this business, it just can't, the pressure of this always on me and learning how to build a business. Like that was the whole thing is that's when I started investing in mentorship. Like you're working in the business so much.
Hmm.
How are you going to grow? As a human, how is your business going to grow? They were really challenging me in ways where like that's where that personal development and just that growth really prospered and triggered me to saying, okay, I have a big staff of all independent contractors, all part time, and that's when I hired my studio manager full time. And then I knew I wanted to give more autonomy to them, and I wanted also to know that like when in the future there's a potential exit plan, that Hit It with Brit, that brand was going to have a different lens for other people.
Hmm.
And that lens, like a lot of factors of the hit became intimidating for people, and so like all high impact and also just my name in the business, it took a lot on me. It really
Yeah.
did. And I wanted to give more to my team and lead my team in ways where they can elevate themselves and they could prosper and they could grow into leaders. So I knew that was the time. And it was very hard to find like the right name and the right
Yeah.
logo, but it was fun because
Yeah.
I had my team to do it because I did everything with Hit with Brit by myself.
Yeah.
So I had a full time staff of two at the time.
Yeah.
And that's when I was just like, let's brainstorm, let's do this together. And
Yeah.
it was cool. It was a really great experience. It was very well received from the community. I was very nervous, but that's what we do in entrepreneurship, like
Yep.
take the risk and
Take
see if
risks.
it was going to be received. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So within power, so performance wellness recovery, like do you guys do something differently than you did with Hit with Brit now at your gym? Like what did you change to kind of go with your new mission as a
Yeah.
gym?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Yes, incorporating more of the holistic and incorporating a little bit more elements to the brand, such as the wellness. We started our accountability and nutrition program.
Hmm.
And so we weren't just a workout.
Yeah.
And then the recovery piece, we added so many elements of mobility and just realizing that if we're doing high impact or strength based workouts, that the mobility was so beneficial to
Hmm.
our performance in our recovery and just to continuing it. So I saw as I was getting older and in postpartum that wow, I'm like peeing my pants when I'm jumping now, or
Yeah.
like something is like my joints aren't as lubricated and as great as they used to be. And I was noticing that as I was evolving and getting older, so was my customer base. And I wanted to make sure I was really like seeing the bigger lens of what that mission, like I wanted to be more and serve more people and know that it's that the whole thing with health is bigger, between sleep, hormones, everything that
Yeah.
we do to our bodies. It's just on a much bigger scale than just a workout.
Yeah.
So it is it, and that's what we've continued to do, to be able to give that message and bring other elements, other workshops in here. We had pedal for a while to complement the performance side,
Okay.
but there's more that we can do as fitness evolves too, because it's always going to evolve and it's still very
Absolutely.
new.
Yeah.
Like boutique fitness didn't really come out and prosper until around 2010,
Yeah.
and like the Soul Cycles and CrossFit, and
Right.
that's when that's still very new compared.
Yeah.
Like when people think of group fitness, they were thinking of like the Jane Fondas and like the
Right.
best fitness, but it's so we know now, like especially with our new facility, that when we want to change things up and to continue to grow, we have a great brand to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I love all that because I do, I mean, as a health coach, I do believe it's like a whole picture thing. It's not just the fitness piece, it's not just the nutrition, it's not just the sleep. It kind of all works together to really support your body in the way that you need it. And
Mm-hmm.
we're probably around similar ages, but I mean, growing up, it was always like eat less, move more, or, keep moving your butt, move, 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 no nutrition, eat whatever you want, but keep moving, like all those types of mentalities. And it
Yeah.
has come a long, long way. I think it has a long way to go, but it's
Yeah.
getting better and better. And I love that, just that whole body factor.
Yeah.
Um,
And this one thing I didn't even bring up is like we've incorporated personal training, which has been a game changer.
yeah,
It has not everyone wants to do group fitness. Not
yeah,
everyone feels comfortable of going in there and adding in that element of our intake process and people who might not are confident but also competent in those certain movement patterns of the specifically the squat and like the hinge. They're not
yeah,
prepared on doing some RDLs or some hinge patterns and movements when they're going to a group element, because what we've also very much shifted is our class size, because when we were hit with Brit, we were in a big warehouse, 8,000 square feet, with 50, 60, 70, 80
wow.
people in a class
Oh my goodness.
with two or three trainers. Like it was,
Wow.
I'm going to send you a picture or video just to see like what it really worked out. Like
Yeah.
we made it work. It was, again, like beautifully organized. Looked chaotic, but it worked. And we knew we wouldn't be able to that wasn't sustainable for a business and for our clients.
Right.
And it wasn't, and we would always get feedback and from like my weights are taken or this, and just like we want a little bit more intimacy. So we knew with our new facility now, we have 3 rooms: a personal training room
Okay.
and 2 group rooms that are 25 people max. So it's more
Okay.
intimate.
Yeah.
It's easier for scheduling. It's easier for and it's just a better all around for the client and for the coach. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds great. And I think personal training is like a lot of people are intimidated by the gym, so it's sometimes a great way to start and then you kind of ease your way into that group fitness. Now,
Hmm.
you're a coach as well. You're an empowerment coach. Now, do you do that at the gym or do you do that separately?
I do it separately. It's all
Okay.
on.
Do you
Yes.
coach only women or how does that work?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I've had men reach out to me. I've actually had a few meetings with some men, but I love group coaching. It's just like I loved coaching on the floor, group classes. The one-on-one, I know you can do more for, like, it's just like the efficiency, and it's just we all have our preferences. So my group coaching, it's called Unfiltered Freedom, and it's more of a personal development
Yeah.
community and accountability group, and we're on the journey of chasing those 5 freedoms. And that's like the shift that happened with me in the past year and a half. I was kind of just making like my message of not everything is just health and fitness.
Yeah.
And I needed more. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm just going to have to create, because I've always been a coach. I coached basketball, I coach my kids.
Yeah.
Like coaching takes on many terms. And that's where it's like, I didn't want to put myself in this, in this container where I'm like, I can impact and influence more people, and it doesn't have to be necessarily fitness. And that's where I was having a hard time during this identity shift of not coaching on the floor anymore and leading my team, but also like, what's going on? I'm not feeling completely fulfilled in that coaching role.
Yeah. How do you feel now with like the empowerment coaching and then leading your team outside of the gym?
Oh, it's all connected. It's all aligned. It is so I'll take something from, it'll be like my business coach or my group coaching and bring it to my team, vice versa. Something I learned with my team, I bring it. So it really is so cohesive, and I'm able to just be able to speak more just with like influence, but more with like authenticity of, now I feel more like myself. And I sometimes like that was a big challenge for me when I was coaching on the floor, where you have to be like, I'm also coaching one-on-one, but small group, but like it's emotionally and mentally draining. It's a lot. And it's also physically draining. Where sometimes you feel inauthentic, where when we're in our own, like we all have our own issues and concerns and things that are going on, where it's like, I am not sure if I can hold this space for somebody. And coaching on the floor in the gym, like, you got to be on. It's just like really encouraging and motivating, where sometimes in this element virtually, it's like, I'm listening. They just need, like, people just need to be listening and processing a little bit more, and then providing feedback or mentorship if necessary.
Yeah, totally. I see what you're saying. Now, how is it balancing all of these things? You have a podcast too. I didn't even mention that to my listeners. Mom Boss Maximizer. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone should check that out, and I'll link it below. But how do you balance all these roles? I'm so curious.
I don't know. How do you? Like,
I know. I was thinking of, like, when I was thinking of all the things I do, I'm like, wait a second. I have a podcast. I have 3 businesses. It's like,
right?
I don't know. That's what I was saying. Like, I always like to hear how other people do it, because I'm like, what can I tweak? Where can I be better? And I think that's how we balance this stuff, is because we're constantly pivoting and making changes to, be better for our families and prioritize what's most important to us. And it's not something that you just like figure out and you have it set. It's like we have to constantly adjust and like recalibrate and then start over again, and just do the best we can. It really is. Yes. I mean, I'm sure with 4 kids, I have 1 child, and that's enough, of pivoting and stuff. But with 4, it's like things come up, things happen, circumstances happen. It's like you really have to just be ready for anything.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like, I have always, since I was little, I was always like a 3-sport athlete, always busy, on to the next thing, a 3-sport athlete, and I danced every single week, and I was like playing an instrument. Like, it was like that high achieving mentality, which I am an Enneagram 3. I'm very much into the Enneagram and learning more, bringing more awareness. I'm not sure if you're into it or you know much about the Enneagram.
I don't know. You're going to have to tell me more about it.
Oh, I love when people don't. That just makes me so excited. It's another tool. It's another resource to tap into our potential, to tap into our strengths, to tap into our healthy and unhealthy habits and how we work. It really helps form that communication in relationships with like your team, with your family. So I've really learned that over time, that I'm an Enneagram 3. I have that high achieving mentality, do, and always busy. And I don't want to be like that. Right. Like, I want more peace. I did this incredible exercise called Be, Do, Have in my women's group and with my team. And it's really about like who we are right now and who we want to be. And to get there, to get there, it's like who you want to be first and what you have to do to take action in order to what you want to have. Where a lot of our mindset goes to, I want to have a big house. I want to have this or have all these tangible things. And what do I have to do to get there? Instead, we talk about who are being. So like, I make fun of myself because I've always like, just me in the past was always, the old being is Blizzard Brit. Blizzard Brit is like, coming on through. Like, I'm cold. How you doing? Hi. Just like really not stopping and being present. And I'm really blissful Brit. That is my new way of being.
Yeah.
And blissful Brit is being present and stopping. And for people to say, I know you're busy. I'm like, no, that's okay. I'm going to make time. Like and finding that time and prioritizing that time. So wearing these, it's really like when you're saying, how do you balance? I don't believe in balance. I really don't. I fucking hate that word. Sorry. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
It's so funny because balance comes up, I think, in like every single episode, and you're right. Some people are like, "There's no such thing." Other people are like, "Oh yeah, there's totally balance." And I love hearing just like everyone's take on it.
Yeah, I when I'm here, I'm here. So like, I'm not thinking about if I get a phone call right now and it's school, I'm not answering it. So that's not balanced to me, like that's, they're gonna have to wait. There's times where I try to really stay committed to my routine. Like my routine is everything. My habits are everything. And just in the past month, it has not been consistent because we had another shift in our schedule and our driving and our, like all these things where I know I'm going to get back into it. I haven't journaled twice a week like I love to, and I know that helps me and that grounds me. So it's like the advice I give myself and I give other people is like, that's okay. Give yourself grace. And it's not permanent. And what do you have to do, or who do you have to talk to or reach out to support you on balancing or blending, if you want to say it, to find some more peace and blissfulness, because like that bliss is that ultimate like peace and joy. That's the goal with like all the other freedoms that we want to achieve. So wearing as many hats, like I'm not proud. I'm not proud of being so busy. I'm not proud of having to be like, oh, like yesterday I got home at 5:30, took a shower, left at 5:45, got the kids in the car, and we had to go to a basketball game. It's like I couldn't breathe. I don't want to be like that, but I had a meeting at 5:00. It was very important. So like all these things that some things work for me. It's trial and error. My phone is my calendar. Like that's one of those things too. Like I have to time block everything. I have to stay really true to those habits that I know are going to just make sure that my headspace is okay. Like my mindset's okay. That is most important. Because if I'm not good, my kids aren't good, my partner's not good.
Exactly. Your business isn't good. It's like a domino effect. We have to take care of ourselves. And I think like the prioritization too of like just like what's important, right? Like what should I be doing right now? What can wait? What can I delegate to someone else? I know like when I had Catherine on here, she's like, you got to delegate those tasks. Like you can do it all, but you have to ask for help. And I think that's super important too. And like you said too, I know we were talking about this on Instagram where you said something about gaining weight or like just like circumstances had changed, and like we're so hard on ourselves, and it's like we have to be able to be in that season of life that we're in. It doesn't mean you can't make changes, but it might not be what it used to be or what it's going to be in the future. We have to be in that and give ourselves grace, like you said, because it's not always going to be perfect. It might be really messy, and some things we can't control, which I think you said you had an injury, right?
Yes. I tore my Achilles 10 months ago.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, and still
not right.
Really, no, and still challenging, and it's just I'm still limping here and there. I can't do a lot of the things that I used to, but it's acceptance and know that it's not always going to be like this, and I just have to shift some things physically and mentally. And it's like one of those things too. I'm kind of like, I've had worse. I try to think that, but also like if you're handed it, my biggest saying all the time through life, through a lot of obstacles, is if you're handed it, you can handle it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to handle it. I
Oh
don't
my
want
God, yeah.
anything.
Especially like injury as an athlete too. Like I hurt my foot in October and it's still not the same. Um but yeah, you kind of just have to accept it, change your perspective, and be patient.
Oh, yes, that is
Really
actually,
patient.
that's been like, I think I said on my podcast, one of my top 5 pieces of advice is being patient.
Yeah. I'm
I,
not a great patient person. I
I
like
wasn't either. I wasn't either. I was forced to. Like, I was,
right. I mean, you
I,
don't have a choice, right? It's like
yes. Yeah. But I really appreciate what you said too, is like asking for help, because that, as a single parent, I was doing everything myself.
yeah.
I was on my own when I was 21. I found out like everything about my dad living a double life, and I was on my own, and I was just like, no, just going to internalize it and keep it in and keep working, working, working,
Yeah.
and avoid, avoid, avoid. Where now I'm like, I don't want my kids to be like that. If they're
Mhm.
experiencing hardship, I want them, like, they can't keep it in. And like, that's the feeling of worthiness too that I've learned so much
Yeah.
in the past year of, like, I felt worthy because I was doing so much, and I just want to
Exactly.
be. And
Yeah.
for help, asking for help is really hard, but it delegating, oh my gosh. For example, my therapist was like, what do you least likely to do? Like, what do you hate doing? And I said, I hate doing laundry. I hate it,
Yeah.
especially with 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I delegated that. I hired a high school girl. It's a member's daughter here, and she comes once a week and helps fold all the laundry and put it away. And
Yeah.
it now I can have more time with my kids.
Yeah.
Like, that would take 2 to 3 hours a
Yeah.
week, and that is more important. That's more valuable to
Yes.
me. That time with them. I was on the couch with my girls watching a cartoon while she was right next to me folding, and I'm like, I don't even care. Normally I feel
Right.
guilty, like, I'll help you,
It's
so
so hard to
yeah.
not feel guilty in those moments though, but it's so important to ask for help. I just think as moms in America, it is put out there that we are supposed to be busy all the time, and if you're not busy all the
Mhm.
time, then you aren't a good mom. Like
Yes.
it got to a point where at one point my daughter was like running around the house when she was like 3 with a cell phone, like so stressed out, pretending. She's pretending she has a cell phone. She's a stressed out mom, and I'm like, "Oh my God." Like this is
Do I
what
give
she
up?
sees, like, and I
Mm,
can't portray that. Like, so now I'll sit down and read a book. I don't care if I have dishes to do or laundry to do. I'm like, no, I'm going to sit here and
yeah.
read a book and you can come sit with me if you want. But just to like have them
Love-
see you relax and not always be doing something, because that's what they're going to
mhm.
remember. And I don't want her to turn out the way that the world is portraying that we're supposed to be, when we could just be more productive with our time. Delegate, ask for help. No one is expecting us to be able to handle every single thing that comes along, even though that's what we're expecting of ourselves. No
Yeah.
one's gonna like
Yeah.
fault us for that.
Yeah. No, I love that so much. Just being that role model that for our children, and that's it. My children definitely do say that. Mommy, sit down. Like, my daughters will, they're so cute. When I sit down and cuddle with them, they will rub my feet. I'm like,
Aw.
oh my God, I love you. Like, they know, they see. They're 10 and 9. My
Yeah.
older girls. Like, and sometimes, like, when we do the whole bedtime routine, it'll be 9 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I'm just like, I'm so hungry. I want to lay in bed with you, and I feel guilty. But they're like, it's okay. We get it, Mom. So that is so important for me, to be
Yeah.
able to just stop and enjoy those moments, because, like what everyone says, it goes by so fast.
So fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really
I mean, I
does.
think
Mhm.
that's going back to too being productive with your time and choosing the most important things, because some of that stuff you're not even going to remember, years from now. If you chose something over what's most important in your life, whether that's your family, your business, your partner, and you look back and you're like, I binge watched Netflix for what? Like, and I didn't, you know what I mean? It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. We're
Mhm.
running around like a crazed person to do errands that probably don't really matter, unless
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
that's the self-sabotage. Like,
yeah,
that is where the burnout happens. And with burnout, now this is interesting. Like, with burnout, some people will say, "Oh, that leads to a breakthrough," or that leads to getting sick and something else happening, like where we can't control it. So like if we can only control ourselves, then how are you going to maximize your strengths, your time, your energy, your mindset? Like that's why I created Mom Boss Maximizer, is because I very much, I was talking about the Enneagram and
Yes.
Strength Finder is the other one that I love, that I've given my team and I give myself. And the Maximizer was my number one strength. And what that is finding potential in ourselves and in other people, and how to maximize those strengths to the best of, your ability, and to untap that potential that we all have, but we have to believe in it. So that's where that's like just so important. I'm really trying to live in that. Like I'm really trying to sit in that and be authentic in that, and really like do as I say, because it's so easy as a coach to,
Oh my God.
coach
Yeah.
and mentor,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
do it.
coaching pretty much holds us accountable, but we can also be really, really hard on ourselves because we're not perfect, which
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to women out there, that want to make changes or maybe have hit rock bottom? Maybe they're sick at this point where they burned out so far that, they do have health issues now. What would be your first thing for them to start?
I think it's all about identity. It is finding awareness of who you are and where you want to go. And how to do that is with who, and is whether it be investing in a coach, whether it be finding a therapist. And if you don't have the funds, if you're not there yet, like in the beginning of, like I said, when I first was in that transition and then built to hit it with Britt, I didn't have the funds to invest in a coach and a therapist, and but I really tapped into my health. And that was my first thing. I knew if I was going to start working out every single day and find consistency and create that discipline, and make that pattern uh, positive, like that, those positive patterns and those habits, that's when the magic happens. So it's really like, I always say who, and leaning in, but also like that's that identity piece, and like what is coming up. And that's hard. Like we have these blind spots, and what we don't know, we don't know. So that is, and how can we figure what we don't know about ourselves and what's happening? It's by who. Ask them, what is it like? What is it like working for me? Like, how do I show up to you? Yeah, ask your friends, ask your family. What is it? How is it like when when we're together? What would you say are my biggest strengths? What would you say are my biggest weaknesses? So if you don't have the investment, then ask your family and your friends, ask your coworkers. That's hard. That's uncomfortable. But you'll see, if you are at that point where you are able to receive that information, that constructive criticism, that feedback, that's where the growth happens. Growth is everything. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome advice. I love that. Now,
Thank
you
you.
have a big event coming up in March. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, Guts, Girls Using Their Strengths. It's on March 23rd.
Okay.
It is Women's History Month in March, and it's benefiting the YWCA. I love their mission. It is all about empowering women and eliminating racism. So I'm so excited because we've done this event in the past. It used to be Strong Camp through Strong Fitness Magazine, and then I can do this myself, and I want to run it differently. So we rebranded it to Guts, Girls Using Their Strengths, and it was predominantly all about fitness and health and wellness. Well, because I want to turn my mess into the message, and just a lot of like what I've experienced myself and where my mindset's at, I'm like, I'm going to create this because that's what I need. Oh goodness. I'm so sorry.
No,
That
no
was
worries.
an interruption. So, so then we are going to have a different perspective and different lens on this event. It is going to be more about all about women's empowerment, but with educational panels, with speakers. It's all going to be about connection and collaboration, cultivating confidence, and having clarity when you're leaving. So like, what to expect when you're coming in is one thing, but also what to take away from an event is so important. And I've
Yeah.
found like that's what I've been lacking when I attend some events is how can I go take action if I'm lacking on my identity, if I am lacking on financial empowerment, if I'm lacking on connecting with women and I want more for my life. And it's again, it's about those like maximizing your traits and finding the potential. And that could be with someone on the stage, that can be with some women that are going to be in those seats. It is going to be an opportunity for everyone, the women on
I
the
love that.
stage, and it's going to be an opportunity to gain more partnerships. So I'm having sponsors for the first time.
Okay.
And that's one of the beautiful things about with the brand of power and with my boss maximizer and aligning them together and just like this is my identity, this is who I stand for. So I am so excited because we've got some. I can actually say when is this airing?
I'm not sure. I'll have to send you the date. Probably like 3 weeks from now? 2 or 3
Okay,
weeks
great.
from
So we've locked in Taylor Rayo, who is the buttonista.
now?
She,
Okay.
she's going to be that panel, and Catherine Hover. So us three are going to do a podcast panel and talk about visibility and confidence and being seen. We're
Amazing.
going to have a panel on health and wellness. We're going to have a panel called like what the fuck, like a lot about like
Is
resilience.
Catherine doing that one?
She probably will want to do that one instead, actually.
It was so funny when she came on. My husband's my editor, and he's like, I can't find an intro part because she keeps swearing, and I don't want that. But it's just Catherine. It's who she is.
Yes. This is why I loved going on her podcast and her coming here because it just goes from boom, 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 like it's like our ADD brains are just like, there's so
Yes.
much to talk about.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So I'm so excited because this is going to be a different element of what I really feel the capital region needs, also what's been lacking, and how we can just continue to support one another.
Yeah.
That's just so needed in so many different ways. And when I talk about those 5 freedoms, that's where I want the women coming in here prepared that like this is going to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity for you to like let down those walls and step outside that comfort zone. And we say
Yeah.
that in the gym, but this is going to be also in life too.
I love
Yeah.
that. It sounds amazing. So, what's the date on that?
March 23rd, Saturday.
Okay. I need to
Yeah,
check my calendar. I think my daughter has a dance competition, but I really want to come. So,
I would love for you
sounds
to
really
come.
good. Do you have a
Yeah.
link for that? I can link that below as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I love
Cool.
it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Well, so where do you see your business 5 to 10 years from now? All of your businesses.
I would say which one I'm going to this past event. I went to a girlfriends and business event this past weekend in Scottsdale with Lori Harder. I'm not sure if you know she is very
No.
big very big in the personal development space and a big influence that I've just always been following. And there's so many women with all businesses, and I really had to. It's like making me process of where I want to go and where I need to put more time in because something that I've learned is that like I'm building 4 different bridges right now and none of those bridges are complete where I'm not putting one focus into one of those businesses.
Right.
I am very passionate about my podcast. Like I love it so much, like just connecting with you and being able to bring more women on and learning their stories.
Yeah.
I would love to expand my network and not be in this container where I felt like, okay, I am ready to be able to, I want to network more, but it's not just networking, like surface level networking. Like I want to be
Yeah.
very intentional with my conversations and my connections and supporting one another on that journey because it is like so much we hear is entrepreneurship is lonely at the top, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It really isn't if you're ready to be open
Yeah.
and to see it in different views and lenses too. So
I love that.
power is incredible. I have an incredible team. I trust
Yeah.
them so much. We are shifting some things, like focusing a little bit more on that group model again, where we've kind of, was like so much of our attention and our time was on the one-on-one and just learning new processes. It was very
Yeah.
difficult to navigate coming to a new facility and then bringing personal training and scheduling. So back to like let's go, get into the group element. Our coaches are so intelligent. Their wisdom, the education that they've been provided through our mentorship has been amazing. So, and then with the podcast, just continue to elevate that in all the ways and hopefully monetize it. Like that is something I would love to do. It's just, it takes a lot more time and patience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, you have a lot going on, so it's like your sole focus isn't on one thing, so sometimes that takes a little bit longer, and that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
You're multi-passionate. That's what I always say about myself too. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur.
Yes. And that's just, and like with your hair, I was, listening to your podcast and then seeing what you do with your hair. Like it is even, there's so much that you don't want to hold yourself back. Like you don't want to limit. If you're finding value and passion for something, like lean into that. And I love that you're doing that, because who would have thought? Like, I met a couple of women who own salons at this past, and they are, like, how can I continue to evolve and elevate my brand and elevate where I'm still passionate about all these. So I love what you're
I found like a good little balance, I guess you can call it now. It's like I have a creative mind, so the hair gives me that aspect, but I love, beauty from the inside out too, because obviously we all know beauty is, it's fleeting. It's not always going to be there. So, really taking care of yourself, whole body. And mind. Yeah. But it's right. I mean, you got to that was a pivot in my life, where I had done hair for over 20 years. We moved here. I had been coaching for a couple years on the side. And I was like, oh, I'm burnt out. I didn't make the right decisions with my business. I had no boundaries. So I was like, I want to take a break from doing hair. So we moved. I continued coaching. And then I was like, something is missing. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like something is missing. And that's when I got back into doing hair here and opened another business. And it feels right now. I'm like, so it's like you got to go. Like, I felt so silly that I had even stopped doing it in the beginning, but it's like you can't even think about that. That's like your ego talking, and you just really have to go with like, what is going to make me be the best me and be able to like really use everything that I have, all the gifts that God has given me. So
stepping into that power. Like that's like, and we all have our own unique power. We just have to be able to like give ourselves permission to like,
right. Because you think if you make one decision, then that's final. It's not. It's never final. You can like always make a change.
Do you do one-on-one coaching or group coaching?
I do. Yeah, I do one-on-one.
You do? Yeah. Do you love it?
I do. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I did miss doing the hair. I think just like because I'm a social person, I miss like that creative aspect, and then just being around more people like outside of the house. So like I said, now I like have this, I'm starting to get into a routine and just have this nice balance going with both of them. But yeah, I love both. I mean, I love health. I love fitness. I love all that stuff and doing hair too. So yeah, it's good.
I love your branding too. So we got to talk more. I'll bring you on mine.
Yeah, for sure. And send me that personality quiz too. Because I did one recently, but I don't know if it was what you were talking about. But I love all that, strengths and all that stuff, and just learning more about yourself. Yeah,
it is.
There's always something to learn, right?
Yes, and it's hard. Some of it's hard to like. Ooh, is that me? Are you sure? And you're like, it is in some instances.
Yeah. The personality quiz I took a couple weeks ago. It was like so me. I was like, how do they even know this? This is so creepy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But it explained me really well. It was.
And then going down a rabbit hole with like some of the Instagram handles to like funny ones though too. So like me and my team, like we have gotten so much closer because we know like how to approach and how to communicate.
Yeah.
And we can find humor in it too, because I'll be like, oh, it's not reactive, Britt. I'm listening. I'm being empathetic, because a lot of times I would find myself not being empathetic because I was always just in my own head about my own shit.
Right.
So like these things really give us just another element of like, let's be real. This is
right. Well, I mean, because we can't really make changes if we're not aware of what we're doing with anything. But I mean, especially with our personality and whatnot. Yeah. So that's so important. Well, thank you. I mean, we're definitely going to have to continue chatting.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common. Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited to learn more about you too, so I'll follow up with everything.
Thank you. That sounds awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. This is incredible.
Thanks, Megan. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Empowerhood is brought to you by Flourish Everyday Coaching. Check them out in the link below. And again, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. If you could take 60 seconds of your time and leave us an Apple review, this helps share the news about this podcast and help women all over the world. If you want to see the video version of this podcast, you can go to our YouTube channel and subscribe there. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next episode.